Good morning, dear students. Today I am here to give a lecture about digital electronics. I am Vaiswati from EEE department working as an assistant professor. Me and my colleague Sonia will deliver a lecture about digital electronics. So, you might wonder, being an electrical engineer, why you need to learn digital electronics. For example, after completion of your engineering, you will go to join in an industry or any other plant or any power plant. So, working there, you will be working in a control room where you monitor the process in a computer, and the computer shows the values of voltage, current and power which are operated in field. Field is somewhere distance from your geographical area, in geographical area from your control room to the field. So there you will have measured values like voltage, current of a machine. Okay, these voltage and current you are able to see in this computer. So have you ever think how these voltages and currents are transmitted to here? So these are transmitted in via digital form. So the signals which are coming from the field to the control room are digital signals. Okay. So digital electronics are nothing but electronics which deals with digital signals. We have to know about digital signal. What is digital signal? Before knowing that, we'll first understand what is a signal, and then we'll go to digital signal. A signal. A signal is a function. It is a function of a physical quantity which varies with another quantity. It is a function which is a physical quantity varies with another quantity. Let's say f is a function of x. Okay, and this x I will define as some water level in a tank. Let's say some tank is there, water tank is there. There is some input tap and outgoing tap is also there. This is a continuous process. The inlet of the tap got opened and the outlet is also utilized. I ask a person to stand here and note down the water level. Okay, then what happens? I ask him to note down the values for 4 hours. Let's say from 12 o'clock in the noon to 4 in the evening. What happens? He will note down the reading for every 1 minute. So at 12 o'clock, he will note down, let's say the tank level is 50%. At 12 hour and 1 minute, it will be 52%. At 12 hour and 2 minutes, it may be of 48%. Likewise, he is going to note down the water levels. So if I write down those water levels in a graphical way, this is a timeline. The time is an independent quantity here. That's why I represented in an x-axis. This is the timeline. Let's say this is 12 in the noon. So for every time period, you are having some value. So the value of the water level is represented here. Let's say the water level is a function of this time, f of t. Then you are having different water levels, let's say like this. It is like an inverted parabola, you can see. It is like an inverted parabola. So this f of t can be represented like this, minus at square plus bt plus c. So the signal can be represented as a function. So the signal is nothing but a varying quantity with respect to another quantity, or varying parameter with respect to another parameter. Now you might understand what a signal is. Now we will go what is analog signal. Let's take the same example, the water level for 4 hours. So for every time period, you are having certain value of certain magnitude of water level. So for every time period having certain value. So this parameter is a continuous function of this parameter. So the signal is a continuous function of this parameter t. Then this is called as analog signal. The real time every signal is analog signal. Like you can take sound signal or any wave signal which is transmitted, or light signal. Any signal is analog signal. Now the next one is discrete signal. How will get a discrete signal from an analog signal? See, discrete signal is nothing but we discretize the timeline, or we discretize the independent parameter here. So here the independent parameter is time. That's why we discretize this time into certain levels. So in previous what we took is from 12 noon to 4 p.m. we took the timeline. So every minute we are going to check the water level. Now I'll discretize to every 1 hour. Means from 12, after 12 I'll get a value at 1. After 1 I'll get a value at 2 o'clock. After 2 o'clock I'll get a value at 3 o'clock. So in between 12 to 1 I have no value regarding the water level. Here the discrete signal will be like this. At 1 o'clock I'll be having a water value like this. At 2 o'clock I'll be having water level. At 3 o'clock. So this is nothing but the discrete signal. You can see the red one is discrete signal because we discretize the timeline, and according to the timeline levels we are having the magnitude levels. Here you can observe that for every 1 hour we are having a certain magnitude of water level. So this signal is nothing but a discrete signal. So by using this discrete signal we can say that the memory which we used is saved a lot, because for every minute when we take the water level the memory is more. When we shorten or discretize the timeline the memory got reduced. Now from the discrete signal we will go to digital signal. So in digital signal, here only the independent parameter is discretized. Here both the independent and dependent parameters will be discretized in digital systems. So in the previous example you can say the water level is also discretized. Let's take an example. This is a discrete signal we are having for 5 levels of time, okay, and the water level, and this is the magnitude of water. At 1 it is having some 49% level. At 2 it is having 60. At 3 it is having 24. At 4 it is having 60 again. At 5 it is having 10. These are the water levels at different time lengths. This is a discrete signal. This discrete signal we can represent in a functional form like this. Let's say this is f of t, then f of t1, that is f of t1 is 49%, and f of t2 is f of t2 is 60%, and f of t3 is 10%, f of t4 is again 60%, f of t5 is 10%. So we will write a discrete digital signal from this discrete signal. How will digitalize it? By discretizing the magnitude part of this water level. So we again discretize this water level. Let's discretize in 6 levels like 10%, 20, 30, 40 and 60. The timeline is already discretized, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now this magnitude line also get discretized. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60. For T1 it is 49. 49 to which level it is close? 49 is close to 50. But 50 is an above level. Let's take the below level to minimize the error. So 49, the nearer below level is 40. So f of T1 is 40 here. So the first signal is 40. F of T2 is 60. 60 we are already having the level. So f of T2 we can write it as 60. And f of T3 is 24. 24 is nearer to 20 level. The lower level, 20 level is near to the 24. That's why f of T3 is 20. And f of T4 is 60. So we can take it as 60 because 60 is a level taken in this discretization. And f of T5 is again 10. 10 is also we are having. That's why we are taking 10 level. So you can see the difference from the digital signal to the discrete signal because it is fixed to the certain levels. You can see f of T2 is 60, f of T3 is 20, f of T4 is 60 and f of T5 is 10. So you can see the difference between these two. These here magnitude part you can have any number, but here you can have at certain levels only. Like here we discretize it to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So in the output you can only have these levels. Other than this they won't appear. So in digital signal you can see both the time signal and the magnitude part both are discretized. So what we learned till now, what is the signal and what is the analog signal and what is discrete signal and how we implement the digital signal from discrete signal. Now we will see why we went for digital systems instead of analog signals. Actually in analog signal, in real-time systems we are only having analog signals. With analog signals you are having more data. Like for every time you are having some certain data or magnitude. So why we are going for digital signals? There are certain advantages by using this digital signal. The first and foremost is noise immunity. We will discuss this in detail. And next one is less in bandwidth. The next one is encryption. The next one is efficiency in transmission. So we will see one by one in detail. Noise immunity. The digital systems are prone to noise. So how it happens? Let's take an analog signal which is of 2 volts. Okay, this is of 2 volts. Which is transmitted over a distance. Let's take this is transmission end and this is receiving end, and these are connected via a wide system. So from this transmission end to the receiving end, the signal is transmitted via this wire. So the transmitted signal is going to be an analog signal of 2 volts. Now there is a noise of 0.2 volts. Let's say plus 0.2 volts is the noise which is paired with this wide system. Then what happens? At the receiving end, instead of 2 volts, you will receive 2.2 volts, like this. Because of noise, you are having 2.2 volts. So what the receiving end will think? Your received 2.2 volts is correct one. So which is a false one instead, because you are actually transferred 2 volts, but instead of 2 volts you got 2.52 volts. There is an error of 0.2 volts because of this noise. Now if we use this digital signal, we will see how the noise is reducing. Let's discretize this into 3 levels. So in the magnitude part, I discretize 1 volt, 2 volt and 3 volt, and this part is T1, T2, T3. So let's take it T1, T2. So at T1, T2 you are having 2 volts, right? If I transmit this 2 volts over this wide system, what happens? Noise of 0.2 volts will impose on the signal. Even 0.2 volts noise imposed, the next level is 3 volts, which is very much high than 2 volts. So either the signal will go to 3 volts or 2 volts, but 2.2 volts is very less. So what it will go, the discretized signal will go to 2 volt only. So here you will get only 2 volts instead of 2.2 volts because of noise. But by using digital systems, you are getting 2 volts. So here we are reducing the noise in the system. By using the digital system, the noise can be removed, or the noise cannot be transmitted. That's why it is called as noise immune system. And the next one is less bandwidth. We can use less bandwidth instead of, for analog systems you have to use more bandwidth. For digital systems you can use less bandwidth instead. And encryption. For security purpose, armies or any Navy systems, they use some codes to transmit the data. So by using these digital signals or digital codes, we can encrypt the data into some other code. Okay, at receiving end they will know the key to decode this data into the actual data. Like this, the security can be incorporated with digital signals. And after that, efficiency of transmission line is very good, because transmission is very good. Transmission of data efficiency is good because the noise is not the digital signal is not get affected by this noise. So by this time you might aware how the digital signal is going to give our advantages over the analog signal. By the summary, we can summarize like this. By using digital signals, we are having 4 advantages. The first and foremost is noise immunity. The second one is less in bandwidth. Third one is encryption for security purpose. Fourth one is efficiency in transmission. At last, we will discuss what are the chapters we are having in digital electronics subject. You are having 5 chapters. The first one deals with number systems. And the logic gates. And the next chapter is minimization theory. There you will get to know what are the minimization techniques we use to reduce the digital expression. And third unit is combinational circuits. And fourth unit is sequential circuits. And fifth one is about transistor families. In this video, you learned about what is signal and what is analog signal and how we discretize it to get a discrete signal. And after that, what is digital signal and how it is advantageous to our system, and what are the different advantages of digital systems. Thank you.